my friend. Welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 279 of the Wannabe Clutter-Free podcast. On today's episode, I am so excited because not only am I joined by one, but I am actually joined by two amazing women, Vanessa and Shana from Budget Besties. They are best friends and master financial coaches who help women who already make good money, but feel like they have nothing left to show for it by the end of the month. We are talking all about how to create a budget that basically runs on autopilot. They have a fun word for it, but it's a set it and forget it system so that you can stop stressing over every little expense and start actually enjoying reaching your financial goals. I know, I actually said you could enjoy reaching your financial goals. And not just that, but you can live the life that you are actually dreaming of without giving up things that you love. Maybe it's your pumpkin spice lattes or all the other little things that make life enjoyable. So this conversation is packed with practical advice, a few funny stories, we talk about a curling iron, and some simple steps to help you finally feel in control of your money. And if budgeting has ever felt overwhelming or restrictive, I think this chat is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. I also put them on the spot about something that I don't want to give up if I'm having to budget. So listen on and see what they say when I actually push back and play devil's advocate on this idea. Okay, I think you're going to like it, and I love where we get to. All right, but before we jump in, I want to say a quick thank you, of course, to you for spending time with me today. If you enjoy this episode, please take a moment and click that subscribe or follow button so that you don't miss any of these amazing conversations that I have planned for you. I've got the fall I've actually planned out pretty much through the end of the year, and I'm so excited. They are great episodes. You are going to love them, so make sure you don't miss them. And of course, as always, thank you to you for being a part of this community. If there is something you want me to cover or you have a question about decluttering, organizing, or living a better life with less, well then connect with me on Instagram. I am at Wannabe Clutter-Free, or join our private Facebook community, the Wannabe Minimalist Family Group, and we'd love to chat with you over there as well. All right, and one last little bit, you can get the show notes for today. We talk about a lot of things, so make sure you head over there. It's at wannabeclutterfree.com/279. I've also updated my website recently, and I love it, and I would love to know what you think of it. It feels so fresh and clean, and I love it. So check it out. It's at wannabeclutterfree.com/279 to get the links to everything we talk about in today's episode. All right, let's dive in. Well, hello, Shana and Vanessa. How are you today? Welcome to Wannabe Clutter-Free.
Girl, we are so excited to be here to talk about the B word.
Yes, we do love to talk about the B word, and we are very honored to be with you, and we're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. So that B word, for everyone listening that's like, wait, what? You probably already heard it in the intro, but it is budgeting. And we're going to talk about how to not really budget though, right? Because nobody really likes that B word. But before we get into all of that, can you please introduce yourselves and tell listeners who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm Shana, she's Vanessa. We are the Budget Besties. We are best friends. We've been friends since our oldest kids were 4, and now they're 17, you guys. Every time I say that, I'm like, and every year we go, it just keeps getting more escalated. Anyway, so yeah. And we are also master financial coaches trained by Dave Ramsey.
Yep.
All right. Well, super excited to have you. And we are going to talk about some really fun things, but let's start with some real talk. Why do you think so many women who do actually make good money still feel like they have nothing to show for it at the end of the month?
You know, what we've seen is that they have one account. So everyone is working off of this one checking account. Maybe you opened it up when you were 18, you got your first job, and you had the one savings, the one checking that the bank gave you. And you're like, I'm good. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is how everyone else does it. Or this is what I think everyone else does. And it's really cluttered in there. It's really unorganized. There's so many transactions happening, and you kind of get lost on how to properly manage your money. So by the end of the month, you've made all this amazing money. And it's gone out the door because you don't know what's coming out, what's coming in, when it's coming out, like how much you can spend. Do you have money for gas and groceries? Has the electric bill cleared? Like there's a lot of questions. So we just keep swiping. Or the worst part of that, we end up using a credit card because we're unsure.
Yeah. And I think another thing that we will get into later is if people are willing to budget, the B word, they will look at the monthly stuff. But a lot of times it's those quote unquote unexpected expenses that are actually usually really very 100% expected that kind of derail everything. And so it feels like maybe as soon as I get ahead, then all of a sudden the property taxes are due, or all of a sudden the emergency vet bill comes. And so that kind of messes up their ability to have money at the end of the month. But really, a lot of times when we work with people and we put all of their information on the page, like your income, your debt, your bills, what you spend every month, what you want to save, they end up having more money left over at the end of the month than they thought. The problem is, like Vanessa said, is we're just like in this cycle of swipe. Like my account balance is my budget or my credit card limit is my budget. And I don't really know what's going on. I'm just busy in the throes of life. And so I don't have a plan and I don't really know. But if you do get a plan, if you do work with us here, then you will be able to have money at the end of the month. And that's just what people told us. So, I mentioned we were Dave Ramsey and we started there. And we realized people didn't want to live on rice and beans. They did not want to give up their pumpkin spice lattes. And they would tell us, I make really good money. Why doesn't it feel that way? And we're like, oh, well, let's figure this out.
Well, what they feel like is that they have to do one or the other. They can either live their life and have a good time and not worry about anything, or they have to have this scorched earth mentality of can't do anything because I'm in debt or I have to get everything under control. And what we've really tried to bring to light with our Bougie on a Budget system is that you can do both. Like you can live your life, you can go to Starbucks, you can go to Target, you can save for Christmas, you can save for your pet emergency fund, like all that. And also you can get out of debt. And so you live more comfortably and you just live more free that way.
Yeah, love that. Bougie on a budget. So fun. But you say that most budgets fail. So can you spill the tea on why that is and what's different about your way?
Okay, well, we'd love to. Okay, to be honest, like we said, we started as Dave Ramsey coaches and we went out to find a budget that we could use to work with our clients. And we went out there and can we just tell you, they're all very complicated. Like
we did some deep research.
Yeah, we wanted to hyperventilate when we were looking up these budgets on Etsy. They're so complicated. There's like fixed and variable expenses. There's so many tabs. There's so many charts. And we're like, does it have to be that hard? No, it really doesn't. And I think a lot of times people are giving you busy work to do. It's not actually a budget. It's not telling you what to do with your hands when it comes to your money. And so that's part of it. And then a lot of the budgets are actually just having you track what you've already done. Like they're, a lot of these apps and stuff, they're tracking every expense, which again, is like busy work. And tracking is looking backward, whereas budgeting is supposed to be planning and looking forward.
So what we had a client, him and his wife joined our coaching program last year. And he said, I don't understand why we haven't been successful in budgeting. I've purchased all of these apps on tracking and I've been tracking every expense that we make every day, all the time. And I was like, well, because that's not a budget, And so I think having the reality and showing him what we do and how we give you the freedom to spend versus him just going back and tracking, becoming an accountant or becoming a bookkeeper and in all his spare time of being an entrepreneur, nobody wants to do that. It's not rewarding. It's not exciting. We don't have time. And it's kind of a little depressing because we had one person say that every time she spent money, her app would notify her and like yell at her and tell her to stop.
Red,
and stop
text.
spending money. And so, like Shana said, when you do that, all you're doing is seeing what happened. What we're doing is setting a budget that looks forward and allows you to plan how you're going to spend that money this month. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but separate it. We are really big on separating your money and organizing it
into different accounts. And the other thing is, we wanted all of everything that you need to do or think about with your money to be on one page instead of, we felt like if it's on one page, how hard can it really be?
That seems easy.
It's like only one page. It's not overwhelming. It's all fine. So we made our budget. First of all, it looks pretty. We thought that was important. It's very clutter-free. Like if you see it, the whole point is white space, make it simple. And it's just 5 easy columns. And instead of like fixed variable expenses or wants and needs and whatever, nobody really understands exactly what that is. It's literally 5 categories. Your income. This is a great number. We're all very excited about.
It's our favorite number of the budget.
Yeah. And then we have your debts. But the good thing about that one is it can disappear. As you pay it off, it's just going to leave your budget and never come back. Then we list out all your bills, which is everything with a due date. And so that's where people get confused is they think like groceries, that's kind of like a bill because I need it or whatever, but it's not. The way you do what you do with your hands is how is reflected in our budget. So your bills are anything with a due date. And that's all. And you're going to put all of that on a list, which is really eye-opening for people. A lot of times they've never actually seen all their bills on one page, including your subscriptions and all that.
And then after that, we have our spending account. So we've listed out the 3, the income, the debt, the bills, and then we go to spending. And spending is where you live in your budget. This is where you're always going out and spending money on groceries, on gas, on restaurants. Maybe you're going to Target, right? Maybe you have a kid's field trip that's coming up or a birthday party or something like that is also in spending. And then after that, then we have your savings. So this is the fifth section of your budget. Savings is planning for all of those unexpected expenses that Shana talked about before that are 100% expected. We don't think about Christmas being December 25th every single year. But we forget about your kid's birthday every single year. We forget about maybe those anniversaries. But being able to plan ahead of time for those things, we put those in your budget because our goal is for your budget to be as consistent and as automatic, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, as possible, because you don't need another budget. When you put words and numbers on paper, sure, you can call that a budget, but then what are you doing with it? So what we've set up, what we've made for people is a budget system.
Okay. All right. There's so many similarities, I think, between how we both look at things, right? Like the more intentional, right? You're setting out that intention before you even start. And I think the same thing happens when people declutter or look at bringing stuff into their home. It's an after the fact thing that's already happened, right? You've already bought all this stuff and now you're dealing with it. And then, like you were saying with the trackers, right? You're just tracking what you've already done, but you're not actually setting this idea or kind of this intention for how you want it to be. Like, what do I actually want my home to feel like? How do I actually want to be spending my money? And like having that forward looking lens instead of that backward, like my house is a mess. My bank account is a mess. What am I doing? It feels so overwhelming. I like the idea of it being more proactive and being more, empowering for people to be able to say like, no, this is the life I want to live, and just having to look at it.
Yeah, and it's so good that you point that out because a lot of people will have you start with, what are you going to cut? That's the first conversation they want to have in budgeting. And we don't want to do that at all. The first conversation we want you to have is to dream again. We want you to think about what are your big hopes and dreams, because your money is what's going to help you be able to get there. Let's set a vision and be excited about the future again, because when you're excited about your future, it's going to make you actually want to budget for the things that you're excited about, right? And so you want to cast that vision, like you said, for your home, for your money. And that is what's going to give you the motivation to actually set up this budget and then carry forward. And so we just agree with that totally.
We actually did another podcast, and one of the questions she asked was, what is one of the first things that you cut when you do a budget? And we're like, that's not how we work. There's a lot of conversation that goes around your goals, your dreams, your vision, like what you want, what you're using, what you're not using. Like all those questions come into place before we ever even talk about what you need to get rid of.
Yeah. That's exactly how I approach decluttering too, right? Like what are the systems that you can set into place to help you start doing this stuff automatically? And then why are you even doing this in the first place is actually where you even want to start. Yeah, love it. All right, paint us a picture. Let's go into that automatic. You say something about automagical. What does that mean?
It's our favorite word.
Yeah. Well, I was on a session with a client one time and he said, it automagically did. I was like, wait, what did you just say? Because we've just been saying automatic and it's so boring, but he said automagically.
Brought them together. Yeah. It was amazing. So basically what this looks like is, we talked about a system. If we look at what this system looks like, your income, when Shana talked about that's the best number, and it's the first number we look at in your budget, your income comes into what we call a bills account. So we want you to have a bills account that does nothing but pay bills. That's it. It's its only job. You leave enough money in there from your income to pay all your bills. And then from there, it feeds all your other accounts. So whether it's your spending accounts or your savings accounts. And it's really important to hear us when we say we do want you to open up separate checking accounts and multiple savings accounts. It's a thing. You can do that without fees, without restrictions, because let's be honest, you're walking around with a couple credit cards in your wallet right now. So all we're doing is replacing the credit cards with debit cards, okay? And we want you to open up a couple, I'll let Shana explain. We want you to open them up so that way you can automatically send your money where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this in a minute probably, but just if you think about, I think a lot of people are familiar with like cash envelopes, right? You would put money in for groceries, for gas, maybe for the kid's birthday or whatever you would
travel.
Yeah. So what we've done is because we used to tell people to do that and we found out they don't want to do that. And now like people won't take cash. So now we have to update our system, right? Which is fine. So you actually can open with certain banks, you can open several checking accounts and several savings accounts. And we want you to rename those like you would have your cash envelopes. Whatever you would have written on the cash envelope, you're going to rename your account. And then we're going to organize your money like that. So we say, like, if you had a silverware drawer and all the silverware was just like there, versus now you have an organizer for your silverware, and every bit of money is organized and put where it's supposed to be. And it makes your life, first of all, we can set it up to transfer automatically, but then you only have to live. Like, you don't have to, when we talked about, when Vanessa talked about in the beginning, like all of the transactions in one account, I don't have to mentally think the mortgage is paid, but the car payment isn't. Can I get food? Oh, by the way, there's a field trip fee. Like, you don't have to do any of that because it's all organized and separate. Yeah, the decision anxiety, the decisions that you have to make are so down because you just look at your grocery account balance and you're like, that's how much I have of groceries, and my bills are already getting paid as well.
The idea here is to make your bank your personal assistant. So we are taking your budget, we're bringing it to life, setting up these accounts, setting up these automatic transfers into these accounts. And guess what? You get to make the limit of what you want those to be. If you ask a millionaire like how they got there, it wasn't on accident, right? It was very strategically planned. And so we are setting up these spending accounts and these savings accounts for you to be successful in how much money you want to allot for groceries and gas and personal pocket money, but you're also setting and telling your budget how much you want to send over to your savings account. So throughout the month, your money is coming into the bills account, all your bills are being paid. Then you have these spending accounts that you're able to freely spend throughout the month based on the amount of money that you spent or that you sent for it. And then you're watching your savings accounts grow for all of these future expenses that you know you eventually have to pay for.
Love it. Love it. That sounds so easy and simple and organized. And I like the silverware drawer analogy. I always say that, like, you wouldn't put like when people are deciding where to put things, like you wouldn't put your utensils in your bedroom and you wouldn't put your sheets in your utility drawer, like, in your pots and pans drawer. But I love how you talked about, yes, like all the silverware, one drawer. You need the organizer. So your forks are with your forks and your knives are with your knives, and you're not shoving your hand in there and cutting yourself on the knife because it's not organized. So I love that. Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense when it comes to your money when you say it that way instead of, because I think some people think, oh, well, my money's just in my checking account. But if you don't know what you have, it does make it a lot harder. And I can imagine it's so much easier to go back and look at that bills account and say, oh, everything has come out. Or when you're trying to think, like, maybe later you want to get a little more ruthless and you say, I want to be saving more. So what can I cut? It probably is at that point so much easier to go back and look at those different accounts and say, okay, I can handle this. This makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, when you have 15 bills a month and those are the only 15 transactions you have to go through and look in that bills account, it makes it really easy to go back and find a mistake or find something versus you're going through an entire month of swiping plus bills. That can get really convoluted.
Yeah, and people don't realize, or what we've seen people do is they're just spending because they don't really know what they have, and they're not really sure. But once you actually put it all on one piece of paper, first of all, a lot of times people have duplicate subscriptions that they forgot about or they weren't even thinking, but we're tracking everything in that bills account now because there's only, Vanessa said, 15 or 20 transactions, so we can really figure it out. And then we're like, hey, you have 5 streaming services for TV. Tell me more about how often you watch TV and how, and, most people, it's not that much, right? So then they can go back and look at that, or maybe we see a phone bill that maybe they can negotiate a lower rate. But the other thing that happens is when I see, like Vanessa said, when I pull up my phone, I'm like, my Christmas bank account got some more money. Woo. I'm way less likely to overspend because I feel like finally I know where my money is going. If something's going to come up, I know I have the money for it. And so we see people spending, quote unquote, overspending, or even the desire to binge spend go down because they finally feel like the anxiety is gone, but they have clarity. They know that they're doing what they want. They know they have money. So the other thing is sometimes we might hope we have money, but we never really know we have money to spend, right? But when you are going to have a personal spending account and every month you're going to have money to spend, it's going to be set by you, the amount, but you will have it and you know you have it. And that just creates a whole different mental game to where people don't feel the need to overspend or binge spend as much.
Well, and this is different. Putting money in your savings buckets automatically where it's named and it has a purpose is very different than saying, well, yeah, through HR of my work, I send like $300 into my savings every single month. Okay, but why are you sending it there? Does it have a purpose? Do you know what that $300 is getting you? What is it? There's a lot of questions that go about that. We want you to not actually use your HR department for any type of transfer. We want you to be in full control of your money so that way at any moment, if you want to make a change or an edit to that, you can go in your bank app and do that versus asking permission for your payroll department to do that. And so, but when you are having those transfers being made from your bills account into those savings buckets that are named, you are going to be less likely to pull from that, because we have a lot of people that say, oh yeah, I transferred $300 into my savings. We're like, okay, how long into the month until you pull that money back out into your checking because you need it? And it's usually 5 days, 10 days, 15 days. I always pull it out. There's no money in there right now. And it's because it didn't have a purpose. So this is the difference of having a full system set up that not only transfers money into savings, but also transfers it into spending that gives you the freedom to spend throughout the month.
Love that. Purpose. Having it be purposeful. Yeah, great. All right, I have to ask, what is the curling iron story and how in the world does it connect to budgeting?
Oh, well, it's so fun because we were just talking about your curly hair routine, right?
Yeah.
Before we came on. So we have, between us, we have 5 kids, and our girls, they want to have their beautiful hair because they have recitals and they have concerts and they have, all the different dances and all the things. And you know how we grew up with like this very sad old curling iron where you would like burn yourself or you wouldn't leave it long enough. So like I have a picture in middle school where my bangs were supposed to be here because we used to barrel curl and they're just like here.
Or you leave it on too long and
Yeah.
you fry your hair
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that could happen with an old school curling iron.
We know all of those mistakes. Well, and then also add to that teenage girl anxiety about looking perfect. So that was really fun to have. But then my mom bought the girls or automatic curling iron. Okay. Did you know that this is a thing?
So basically this curling iron has a guard around it. So guardrails. Okay. There's all types of analogies here. Has guard around it. It takes your hair, it curls it. It tells you how long to keep it in there and it beeps. And when it's done, you pull it out and it's beautifully curled. It has 3 different types of settings. So that way, you know
Like
how long.
looser,
Yeah,
yeah.
If you want it loose, it keeps it in less time. If you want it tight, it keeps it in longer.
Yeah.
It has it, and I think it took our girls 10 minutes to do their hair.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
They have a lot of hair.
And they have a lot of hair, and everything was done. And so think of the old school method where you had to figure out the timing on your own. You had to manually curl your hair up and do it yourself. Whereas this new one, all you do is put your hair in, it turns it, twists it, puts it in there by itself, has a guardrail around it so nobody gets burned.
Yeah.
And it tells you how long and takes it out and it's done.
And so that the way that it relates to budgeting is like we have created an automatic budget in the same way that the curling iron is it like does it automatically.
Yeah.
And because we found, let's be real honest, the more you're in your budget, the more you're in your money, the more you're trying to like manually figure it out, like while you're in the grocery line or in car line or something, the more you're going to mess it up. So just like with your curling iron, the more that I have the decision-making factors in that, the more I'm probably going to mess it up. And so we found a way to make it automatic. And just like the curling iron is automatic. And so that you can get it right without even having to try that hard. And it's faster, less time is needed, all that kind of stuff.
Just less brain calories,
Yeah.
less manual,
Trying
like
this out.
all of that. Like I am for anything that I can set up and forget. That's what I want to do in my life. And our budget system is got all that written all over it.
Yeah, well, it's the emotional part too, right? Like we just said the positive side of it, where it was once it's in these different buckets, it's easy to then feel more in control and not feel like you have to emotionally spend. But also, the more you are in your money before you have a system, that's where it's fraught with all that emotion, right? You're second guessing. You had a bad day. So you go and you're like, well, there's a little bit of money left in there, whatever, right? Before you actually do have it labeled. So I can see why. So yeah, I can see how the less you are in there, the less you are having to make those decisions and set it and forget it once, right? I do that with meal planning. I have an errand day where for me, because I want to avoid impulse buys, I will just do errands on one day a week so that I know that's my one day I can build up and say, okay, what am I doing? What am I spending? What am I buying, right? Why am I going into these stores? What do I have to go get? Because there's less decision fatigue for me. There's less times I'm in that winding line at the end where they put all the little goodies in front of you that you're going to want to buy. And so it's just easier to say like, okay, this is it. We're doing it and it's done. And that decision has already been made. So yeah.
No, I think that makes so much sense. Actually, our day off is Thursday. And so that is like our mom errand day. Just getting
Adulting
everything.
day.
Yeah, it's just getting everything done. And honestly, sometimes I'll text her and I'm like, wow, that was a really expensive day off. Because it's the day that I did all of my stuff. Like if the kids had something come up that I had to manually pay for it. It's like, wow. But knowing that you got it all done, and like you said, it's the one day that you have to worry about all that, it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. There was another term you used in there, old school. We were talking about the curling iron. And I think a lot of us, I mean, so much has changed in our life, right? I mean, I think about what life was like growing up with me. And like you were saying, people don't even take cash now. Credit cards were different back then. So, how is it different now? How is budgeting different now than it was when we were growing up?
Well, it's not even just, Deanna, when we were growing up. I'm thinking about when I sent my daughter to the baseball game, who's 10, with her friend with cash, and they don't take cash at this baseball game. And I'm like, okay, so I'm supposed to give my 10-year-old a debit card? Like, what is that? What is happening in my life? But yeah, so there's so many old school ways of budgeting, like we talked about before, people had cash envelopes, or, you had a tin can that you stuffed money in, or before there were 401ks, maybe you were putting money between the mattresses, right? What we know is there's so many modern tools, and your bank has so many tools that you can use to make budgeting easier, to bring it into the new age, and to make it's the new way. Like finances are so much more complicated also because we have like twice or three times as many bills. There wasn't even internet bill basically when some of us started our lives, right? So there's so many more bills, even so many subscriptions. Like everything is more cluttered and more busy. So we might as well use some of the modern tools to help us budget.
Yeah, and I love actually how you said that even credit cards are different because I feel like back then it was more of an emergency. If something big were to happen, you had this card that you could fall back on. But nowadays, people are just using it throughout the month because, as we said before, they don't know how much money they have left because of all these bills are in their account and they don't know what they can use to spend. So they're just using it as a fallback. And so what we found out is that when you have a budget that's set up everything automatically, you don't need anything to fall back on. And another thing that we like to tell our clients is, okay, you want to use this credit card as a crutch. Got it. You don't want to close it. I understand that. However, what if your bank account and the amount of money you have in there is higher than your credit card limit? Like, what if you become your own bank and you can now fund everything that you want? That credit card has now become obsolete.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need to use it. But like Shana was saying before as well, there are so many tools that there are available to you in just your bank app. Make your budget and then take it to your bank app and allow it to be your personal assistant and set everything up for you. There are so many clients that come to us now and say, I had no idea you could set up reoccurring transactions per account. I had no idea that I could, like her and our bank accounts are attached for free. It's a free transaction. If she buys something for me, I'll transfer her money and we don't have to use Venmo or anything. It's bank to bank. And there are so many people that don't know that there are these tools and resources available to you for free. You just have to find the right bank that'll work for you.
Okay, interesting. I'm not sure how many people I would want to connect my bank account to.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I'm just using that as an example of there are so many things that are available to you. Not like obviously she can't see mine, I can't see her, but you can transfer money freely.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
The other things like you can rename, like we told you before, you can have several checking and several savings. You don't have to keep it all and then trying to figure out in your head what's allotted for what. You can rename the accounts. You can set up automatic recurring transfers. You can do it the first of the month. You can do it any one day. You can do it every 2 weeks. Like there's so many options. And then you can hide certain accounts. Sometimes we have clients that in the beginning, let's just hide some of the savings accounts so you're not tempted.
Out of sight, out of mind.
You can reorder them, like just so many tools that are available to you that bring it into the modern age. If things are going to be more complicated, let's use all of the tools that we have to help us to simplify it, to declutter our finances. And that's really going to help you move forward.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute because I see that you're not on board with credit cards, which is totally fine. I get that. What about like rewards credit cards for points and miles and travel and things like that?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start here.
We have nothing to say about this. It's basically what you're going to get out of it.
Name one person that you knew that got rich or built wealth off of a credit card.
I haven't built wealth, but I've gone to Europe as a family 5 times without paying for tickets.
That is really, I love that for you. But what if you were saving that money in a savings account that was making 3 to 4% interest, which is way more than you're making on credit card points, and you're making money on your money while it's sitting there waiting to be used? What if you did that instead of trying to play the credit card point game to figure out how much you have to spend to get the points that you need to get the rewards that you want?
Yeah. Well, so for us, The way I've looked at it is we pay off our balance every month, right? So I'm not paying interest. So I'm getting these points when I'm not paying the interest, and I'm buying things the month before, right? And I'm paying it 4 weeks later, right? But I'm not paying interest on it.
But you're still a month behind.
How am I a month behind? Because I would have spent that money in my bank account a month ago.
So what we see with our clients is like they're racking up on the credit card and then they're paying it off. So they're literally a month behind on everything instead of funding what they want to spend at the beginning of the month and spending it throughout the month.
So is it possible to do both though? Do you ever like have people do both, right? Like I'm funding my bank accounts and I mean, I get it, it is convoluted, but I'm just curious. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. So like I'm funding my bank accounts with the amount of money that I want to spend. I know what the bills are. Those are on that credit card. So I'm getting my points and then the money is already set aside for it though, and it's paying out of those accounts to the credit card. I mean, I get that it's convoluted and it's a lot to keep track of, which I would imagine is not a great solution for everybody. But if someone feels like I know where my money's going, I'm in control of it. I've cut it down. I've done my budget. I know where the money's supposed to be going. Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, that works for you. That's good. Well, we don't want to play the credit card game. So as much as we all think that we're winning because we paid for trips to Europe using credit card points, we're not. They know exactly what they're doing. They're charging. There's all kinds of different back end stuff that's happening for the credit card points that they are going to win the money game, right? They know that you're going to spend more because you're using a credit card, whether or not, maybe you don't think so, but that's proven scientifically or scientifically, that's silly.
Yeah.
But by some research, and that you're going to spend more. That like we said, you can make as much on your interest where you're in control of your money than you would using points. But the thing is, their budget is so big that they are making us think that we're winning the game by using credit card points, and we're not. A credit card limit is not a budget. Even if in your mind, you're like, I'm sticking to this, you're not in control of your money. You're not telling your money where to go. You're, like Vanessa said, you are a month behind. And so what we find is it's not that people are like, we're telling people to get rid of their credit card. It's like, let's build one mindset is to use credit and to think about credit scores. But the wealthy mindset thinks about building your net worth. You are not building net worth when you're using credit cards. You're still in debt. And you're like we said, you're kind of a month behind versus let's start. Instead of paying for our past, because we just paid for last month, this month when we got paid, let's start funding our future. Let's be our own bank. Like Vanessa said, what if you have more money in the bank account than your credit card limit? Let's start thinking about doing it that way.
Yeah. You're back to that one convoluted account with all the transactions when you're back with just using the credit card. Because yes, you can have a bills account that's going to pay your bills, and you can have the money in groceries and the money in spending and all that separated, and all that can equal a certain amount, and you can't go over that during the month. I get that, but you're still back into this big, long list of transactions, and you don't know actually how much you spent on groceries because it's just not over that certain amount, but that amount is also combined with everything else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I can see how they can both work in tandem though. Like I can see how someone would use your system, get it all set up and make it work, and then also be able to graduate toward something that might be a little bit more complicated.
I think where we've met some of our clients, because some of our husbands will come in and be like, I am not getting away from my credit card points. And so honestly, we set everything up and we'll say, okay, we'll meet you in the middle. All of your bills are going to be reoccurring on the credit card. Like if that's where you want to start, that's fine. Like your bills can be on the credit card, but your spending, when you start putting your spending on a credit card, that's where things really get messy because you do overspend. You overspend when you use a credit card versus if you have a debit card that has some guardrails around it and says, because if you want to go to the store and spend $200, or let's say your pocket money this month is $400 for yourself, you're not going to spend $401. You're going to spend $400 because that debit card isn't going to swipe anything over the $400. So it just really does keep some guardrails around it. And so you can feel good about only spending the amount of money that you set for yourself. And then you can watch your savings accounts grow with all the money over there because you know that this is all you've spent over here in your spending.
All right, there we go. We got to the nugget that I was looking for. There it is. There's the compromise because that makes sense, right? Like that makes sense. Being able to put the things that are more set and more fixed, like your bills that you're going to have every month. And granted, maybe my electric bill is going to go up and down, or my water bill is going to go up and down because it is a little bit by usage, but it's not going to be that much out of the realm. I know what the average is. So that's going to make more sense. But then, yes, I get it with the spending of saying like, hey, no, you need to know, you need to be a little bit more
conscious and aware.
Yeah.
conscious. Yes. Yes. That makes more sense because it will have that emotional moment for you of like, ooh, I only have so much. Or, and almost even playing a game of like, I can see that for myself. I'm a little competitive. So you can have like a bit of a game of like, okay, I had 400 set aside for my groceries, for these 2 weeks. How much under that can I get? Because then what can I do with that money or whatever? So I can see that working as well. So, all right. I like that there's a compromise because, yes, I'm not sure you're going to pry those points away from myself or my husband. So, yeah. Okay. I love it. I love it. All right. Thanks for letting me play devil's advocate and kind of put you on the spot there. I appreciate it. All right. So let's be honest. How can people actually really do that set it and forget it thing, right? Is there some checking that needs to happen? Like, do people need to check in? Because it sounds automagical, but I think people are like, yeah, but is it really that easy?
Yes. Or are we going to say no? No, probably not. We have a story that kind of sets it all up for you. And it's kind of a sad story, but it ends well. We had a client who had been working with us for a while, and she had to pause coaching because her husband was diagnosed with cancer. And when she came back, she said, I did not touch my budget the entire time. Like once, because they got diagnosed and started treatment, and it was like a couple months between when we were able to meet again.
And she has like 3 kids.
And she also has 3 kids, and she had a
Farm,
that
yes.
sheep and cows and stuff. Anyway, well, maybe not cows. I think she wanted cows. Anyway, long story. That's a long story. But she came back, and this is when it really hit us, how impactful this can be. She had not done anything. Her income would come in, the bills would get paid, and she would get money automatically put in her spending accounts, groceries, spending, kids. She homeschooled, so she had a homeschool account. And then it would also get automatically put into her savings, which they owned a lot of property. So like property taxes, different. They were really crunchy. She's like the most crunchy person I actually know. So they had a health and supplements account so everything was automatically going where it was. And she never had to even lift a finger.
She was able to be fully present during this really important time for her. And she had set it up and got it. Again, she'd worked with Shana for a while. So they'd tweak the numbers to make it perfect because you're not going to get it right at the beginning. It's going to be messed up because you don't know. If this is the first time you're ever putting a number to your grocery budget, like you just don't know. So they got it to a point where it was really working for them. And then once she walked away from coaching for a while, she didn't have to do anything. She didn't change a transfer. She didn't look in there. All she knew that she had was her debit cards, and she just freely used them, being able to focus on what was important.
Yeah, so it's like your bank is your personal assistant.
Yeah.
Like we said, you have everything coming into the bills account. The bills are getting paid automatically. That's not as automagical because it's bills, right? But they are getting paid automatically. We had another client. It was so strange to us. She said, this was the first time I went on vacation without worrying about paying bills. And I was like, what? But why were you ever manually paying bills?
Yeah.
But anyway, so the bills get paid automatically. And then your bank is transferring, like we said, depending on when you set it up, to your spending account. So every Friday you get more spending money, or every 2 weeks, whatever you set, the budget is for groceries is replenished, right? And then you can like see your savings grow, and it's all happening. So there are some things that you can do manually if you want. So one of those things for our clients is if they want to pay off debt, they need to, based on how much money they have left over each month, they can go make an extra payment on debt. Or before you really get all the savings buckets, you might have something come up in your budget, like it's Halloween costumes
Right.
that you forgot to budget for. That's the one little manual thing that you're going to go ahead and transfer to your spending, but that's it. The rest of it will run automatically.
Yeah, the main stuff, gas, groceries, personal pocket money, kids, savings, Christmas, like all of that. Like everything is happening. It's just those month-specific items that you maybe didn't get a chance to put in your savings bucket that you need to fund that month.
Very cool. We talked about you guys already having a bank account transfer seamlessly connected between you. Now, you are best friends, you're business partners, you've got a lot going on there. So do you guys generally agree on money stuff, or are there times that you've had totally different approaches?
Yeah, no, I think we generally agree. The question is tricky though, because even with what you just said about your credit card, if you're our client and you come to us and say, I'm not giving them, we're gonna tweak what we're saying
Right.
to what you want. There's no cookie cutter approach here.
Yeah.
So it always has to sort of like bend and ebb and flow based on what you want, what your goals are, what your life looks like. We're never gonna work against that.
Yeah, we're very specific when we build budgets with clients because it's based on their goals, their life, what they have going on, and what bougie on a budget means to them. And that's different for everyone. So, like I said before, all of our clients do their budget differently. And there are times where sometimes I'll build a budget and I'm like, I just need a second set of eyes on this. And so I'll go over to Shana. Hers the same way for me. But it really does help to have that other person there to help you just in case there's something that you're missing, because she may have just had a session with a client that literally just did the thing that I needed. And so they had already worked out a solution and I just need someone to look at it. But yeah, I think it really just depends on the client. But we generally, this system we were doing before we even met, and it's just gotten better and better over time.
Hold on, I do have a difference.
And what?
It's really big, guys. Really ready for this mic drop moment. She puts her gas and groceries in the same account.
Oh, yeah.
And I put gas and groceries in separate accounts. But no, truly, we are best friends. And our goal is obviously to do whatever's best for the clients. But I think our approach is just like no judgment. Just let's try to make this conversation less heavy. Like we talked about the B word. Everybody feels like this heaviness and taboo-ness. And so where we were like most in agreement is like, let's make this easy, maybe fun. What?
We do laugh and we cry on every session. I think that's one of the biggest compliments that we get. And I felt no judgment. You guys never once shamed me or I felt shame from our coaching session. And it's just, that's not our personality. That's not who we are. It's already heavy enough with it being finances. And it seems like it ebb and flows because one week everyone will be super emotional about money and nobody did what they were supposed to. And then the next week, like everyone was on par and got all their boxes checked. And it was great. So it's just funny how they all kind of work together.
Yeah, interesting. Lunar cycles. But it made me think of that shame thing because I think a lot of people, I was going to bring up that word shame. I think a lot of people feel the same way about their homes. Like whenever I tell anybody that I meet for the first time, like this is what I do, they're like, oh, I could never invite you over to my house. And I'm like, oh, come on. It's fine. One, I'm not judging. Like, two, your house is your house. You have a completely different lifestyle than I do, I'm sure. And I've been doing this for a heck of a long time. And I have probably been worse at some point in my life, right? There are times when I ebb and flow, and there's chaotic seasons still in my life where I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally just let everything get out of control. But the point is that I can get it back. I can snap back into control a lot faster than before I did any of it. And I would imagine the same is for you, right? Even if there's some crazy season that comes up for you or your clients, it's so much easier to get back into being in control, feeling like, really good and empowered about your finances and your life and your home and all the things.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say we came up with this. We were talking to our friend earlier, literally on January 1st or something when we recorded with her on her podcast. And it was like, we figured out when you set the goal to like lose weight or get in shape or whatever in the beginning of the year, you have to go to the gym every single day.
It's kind of rude.
And it's the same with, it is rude. Like you just cannot just go the one day and be done. You have to do it every day. And it's kind of the same when you're keeping up the systems in your house. Like you have to maintain it or else it can definitely get out of control, right? With the budget system, you guys, like you set it up the one time and then you sleep in the next day. You don't have to get up and go to the gym because it's doing it itself. And that's what we're talking about. When we're taking you out of it, you might be the problem. We love you so much. We're taking you out of it. Your best self is setting up this budget, right? With the best intentions, all the good. And then it just happens and it's not relying on your willpower. It's not relying on you doing anything with your hands. It's happening automatically. It makes it so much easier to stick with.
I have a new client and yet she emailed us yesterday. Yesterday was her day off. And she emailed and she was like, I can't, I'm so stressed out. And I said, just let's jump on a call. So I was literally in my pajamas. I'm not even going to lie. Jumped on the call with this lady and she owns her own business. She had transferred all this money everywhere because she was nervous that it wasn't working or it wasn't going to work. And so I made her transfer it all back because I said, yes, everything is where it's supposed to be. But there was this feeling of that it wasn't going to work because she wasn't sure because she had been so anxious about money in the past. So I think what we do is we simplify it so much to a point where you like, it seems too easy. Like it shouldn't work or it shouldn't be like this because I should have to be stressed or frustrated or I need to do something with my hands. But you don't. Like my husband gets paid every Wednesday afternoon, Thursday mornings at midnight. All my transfers happen. I don't do anything because I already set up the systems to be successful to not have to manually touch it. And that's what we want for you. We want you to be bored with your finances and go do something else with your hands.
Literally anything
Yeah,
else.
go do something else. Go have fun.
Literally anything else. Love it. All right. Well, where can people find out more information about you guys?
Well, I think the best place is once they listen to Want to Be Clutter-Free, they can maybe pop over and listen to Financial Coaching for Women, because that is our podcast. And we do all this, we have 3 episodes a week, and we just really try to make it like dumb all of this stuff down as possible, make it real tactical, hopefully bite-sized lessons, what to do and stuff like that. And so that's the number one place.
Another way you can find out about our system is go to budgetbesties.com/Deanna. You'll be able to find all about our budget system there, how it can help. You can read testimonials, and you can find out everything that you need about having lifetime access to this amazing system.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we will definitely link to both of those in the show notes so people can click right through, because I know they're generally busy and running about their busy lives and they're like, I can't write this down. So just click on through, makes it nice and easy for you. All right. And my favorite way to close out every episode is with 3 rapid fire questions. And so the first one, you guys decide how you want to answer them, but I'd love to hear from both of you. What does clutter-free mean to you?
I think for me, it means like clean and simple and just freedom. Like that's what it means for me when you think of clutter-free and anything. So when you say the word clutter-free, it's not just home for me. It's everything. It means I can do less.
Yeah. There's a Bible verse that I think of, and it's, I'm not going to be able to quote it. It's going to be the Shana translation, sorry. But it's like, let us strip off everything that's weighing us down.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like clutter is weighing us down. And like Vanessa said, in every part of our life, whether it's digital, whether it's financial, whether it's in our home, whether it's in your schedule, let's strip away everything that's weighing us down. And that's what clutter does, is it's heavy and it's a chain. It creates anxiety. And so, so that's what I think of.
I love that. Both of those answers. Love them, actually. All right. Number 2, what is making you happy right now or in this season of life?
Okay. Our girls play volleyball together and our boys play basketball together. And so if you think that when we work together all day and then we go at night and watch sports all day, like it's kind of ridiculous. But
and then we also play volleyball together.
And we play beach volleyball together. We've been best friends since the boys were 4 and they're 17. I think we mentioned that. But we're growing through life together, and thank God we have each other, because we have boys that are going to be seniors next year, and we're doing it all together. Like on our days off, we're like, okay, let's look at these college applications together. And so we're just really enjoying the season that we're in with these kids. Like we just love it, and we get to do it together, which is also awesome and fun. And that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think being present right now, we're not going to get this time back. I've got 2 years until my son's gone, 3 years until my daughter's gone, and then I'm done, and that breaks my heart. So I just really want to be as present as possible in these next couple of years, and we're so blessed to say that we can, and I love it.
Love them. All right. And then if a listener could only do one thing today to feel more in control of their finances by tonight, what would you suggest they do?
Open up that separate spending account. To have those 2 checking accounts, the one that you're already using, make that your bills only account, and then open up a separate checking account, get a debit card. And that is, if you only do one spending account, do one. And so you can move all your stuff over there so you can really separate the 2 and see how much you're spending throughout the month.
Love that. All right. Shana's just nodding her head. Yes. You said one thing. So
that.
Yeah. Love it. You stuck to one. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thanks for letting us talk about the V word.
Yes, we're so happy and honored to be here. Thank you, Want to Be Clutter-Free people, for listening to us. We know we have some strong opinions, but we had a lot of fun. So thank you.
Well, we hope you want to be clutter-free in your finances too.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. All right. Cheers. Well, another great conversation in the books. And I really like conversations like this because it reminds me that creating more freedom in our life isn't just about clearing that physical clutter, right? I have talked about this time and time again. It's a much more holistic approach. It's about simplifying how we manage not just our stuff, but the money and all the other things that come into our life. And I love how Vanessa and Shana really showed us that a budget doesn't have to feel like punishment. Right? The B word, they kept calling it the B word. Instead, when you set it up the right way, it can feel like a supportive system that has your back, helps you live the life you want, can be your personal assistant. They called it that a few times, and can be automagical. So now it's your turn. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What stuck out to you the most? Did their automagical approach to budgeting make you feel like it could be different, that you could see money in a different light? I know I pushed back on them a little bit, but I think it makes sense what they said. And I like that approach to having two different options, because I know that when we keep ourselves in the equation, there's a lot more room for error, right? So if we can take ourselves out, which is what I got to when we had that little compromise on credit cards and actually budgeting, I think that's going to be a great approach for us. So let me know what you think by commenting on this post. You can come over to Instagram. I'm at wannabe clutter-free over there, and I will have a post for this episode. You can share it in your stories. You can send me a DM. I would love to hear from you. If Instagram's not your jam and you prefer to be on Facebook, I of course have a Facebook group. It's called the Wannabe Minimalist Family Group, and we're going to have a discussion going on over there as well. So we'll have a thread for this episode, and I'd love to hear your takeaways in the comments. And of course, if you found this conversation helpful, could you please leave a rating and a review wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts? Usually that's going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Those are the biggest, and they help the show the most. And don't forget to share the episode with a friend if you know somebody who could use a little budget encouragement too, who doesn't like budgeting, but really wants to feel more in control of their finances. This could be the perfect way for you to help them today. And a special thanks to Shana and Vanessa, of course, for joining us today and sharing their wisdom in such a fun, relatable way. Remember, you can find more detailed show notes and all of their links at wannabeclutterfree.com/279. All right, with that, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you back here next week. I will have an interview with Tracy Hoff, and we are going to be talking about downsizing with purpose. So we're going to be talking about how to keep what matters and let go of the rest. It's been a while since we've had a downsizing conversation, so I think that's going to be really interesting to get back to that. And as we're transitioning, I know a lot of you that listen to this are either helping parents, you're kind of that sandwich generation, you're helping your parents let go of some stuff, you're inheriting things that you don't know what to do with, or you have your kids leaving and you're facing an empty nest in the next 5 years or so. So I think it's going to be a really great conversation for us so we can be proactive in our lives. All right, until next time, take care, keep things simple. If you want to take it up a notch, maybe look at setting up that one extra spending bank account this week and see how it goes for you. Remember, I believe in you. I know you can do anything you put your mind to. I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wanna Be Clutter-Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.